Quick Slants is presented by your local New England Honda dealers.
Oh yeah, there is a 180 underway. Right here and in Foxborough, the Patriots are actually signaling good things from Gillette Stadium after a down year, a very down year last year. Welcome in to the 14th season of Quick Slants. Let's have a great one. We got Phil Perry coming up with us in just a second, but before we get to Phil and some other great things you'll be hearing, this is the best thing I've heard so far this week. Bailey Zappi.
Yeah, the install's been doing good. I mean, we're way ahead of, what we thought we were going to be at. We're really deep into red zone, third down, open field stuff. So I think we just got to keep stacking days and continue just improving on the plays that we have in right now. I'm sure there's more install to be done, but I would say we're about 80%.
What our formerly flat-topped young friend did there is confirm what we've all been observing. Through 12 training camp practices, the fellas look like they know what they're doing out there. Now, we do not want to mistake competency for excellence. And the first preseason game is Thursday. And to be honest, Bailey Zappi's only NFL install was last year, so of course this looks incredible in comparison. But so far, all good vibes. Here, ladies and gentlemen, is the game plan. Très bien! We'll tell you all about that in just a second. Core principles. Let's get back to them. And Kendrick Bourne is going to give us your relevant questions. Plus, we have polls and comments and your contributions. But let's bring in the senator right now, Phil Perry. He's down at Gillette Stadium. He is my crutch. He is my loyal soldier. He is my best friend. We need a senatorial briefing, Phil. What are you looking for this week in the preseason opener?
Boy, Tom, I am praying we get a boatload of two rookie receivers that I'm going to say right here, right now, I think can play in this league and be real contributors. I know it's early. I know we haven't even seen a preseason game yet, but Pop Douglas and Kayshon Boutte, 6th-round picks from this year's draft, to me, have already done more this summer than Tyquan Thornton, last year's 2nd-round pick. For Douglas, it's the unbelievable quickness. You can't touch him in one-on-ones. For Boutte, it's ridiculous body control. He made a one-handed catch down here right behind me on the fields behind Gillette Stadium. One-handed, 2 feet inbounds in the back of the end zone. OBJ light was this catch from Kayshon Boutte. Tom, I think both of these guys have real promise. It looks like Bill Belichick found 2 young receivers who can play.
All otherwise confirming, once again, 1st and 2nd round receivers, nothing doing. Later on, nothing but players. All right, it's time now for Quick Fire. It's presented by your local New England Honda dealers. First, let's hear from Mac Jones, speaking yesterday on the progress of the offense. Mac!
We have a lot of stuff in. I think we're trying to just expand and try things and keep the things that we like in and take the things out that we don't like. So that's what practice is all about. And I've been very happy with Coach O'Brien, and all of us have. We're just trying to raise the standard here and just do it right every day. I feel like just trying to be consistent is our biggest thing.
Okay, some people are going to seize on that raise the standard comment, but you never know if he's talking about in general or just day to day. But what's Mac's grade so far, Phil?
I'm going to give him a rock-solid B+, because I think you've seen a little bit of everything from Mac Jones. I think he's really taken care of the football in these training camp practices, especially the last week and a half or so. We've seen him push it down the field occasionally. I would love to see even a little bit more than that. It's been pretty exclusively down the sideline, contested catch, 50-50 balls to Devontae Parker, and those are great. I just think this pass game is going to have to get a little bit more explosive. That's where that guy Tyquan Thornton should be fitting in my opinion, if they want to become a truly contending offense. But it looks crisp, Tom, and I give Mac Jones a lot of credit for that.
It's funny, you make a great point, because I focus in on what it looks like, how often the offense is up to the line of scrimmage and moving crisply, just the lack of aberrant plays, and there are very few of them. But you're right. We do see some limitations here and there in Mac Jones that were ever present. So I'm very focused on what it looks like, but still, the results, it's going to have to be a little bit more explosive than we've seen. Meanwhile, we're going to go right to Trey Flowers. And, I thought you were saying to kill the QB competition buckets. This is, again, it's 14th season, but it's show one. Let's get that rep and let's not have false starts. Kill the quarterback competition. Phil, can we do that?
I think we can do that. And should we be able to do it for good if we don't see Mac Jones play in this game on Thursday night, but we do see Bailey Zappi? That's something that I am wondering if the rest of the region will seize upon that and say, okay, I guess it really is the way it looks to Phil and to Tom down there at training camp every day. Mac Jones is clearly the #1 guy, as we've been telling you since day one. There is no quarterback competition. Now, do we leave a little bit of breathing room in case it all falls apart for the #1 guy? I guess. But right now, it's Mac Jones. It's Mac Jones' offense. He and Bill O'Brien have been working very, very closely together. This thing has been built, in my opinion, from what we've seen, around what Mac Jones does well. That is getting rid of the football quickly. That is making the right decisions pre and post snap. That's what this Patriots offense is right now. That's Mac Jones' game. He's their guy.
All right. Yeah, I think the quarterback competition can be taken out behind the barn, but we will continue to monitor. Meanwhile, Trey Flowers added today, as a matter of fact. Here's his production since he left the Patriots, and games played is the most obvious one that we're going to seize upon. Extremely productive player with the Patriots, went to Detroit. Injuries crept in and declined his production. Flowers delivered today, Phil. What's the role that you foresee for him?
I just look at Trey Flowers as a great addition for the room. And that's not to say they don't already have veterans who bring a real presence and real leadership to the defensive line. I look at Lawrence Guy, I look at Devon Godchaux, Dietrich Wise. Those guys, to me, are all true professionals. But for somebody like Keon White, who I think will play a really similar role to the role Flowers played here when he was at the height of his powers, use him outside, use him inside as well. For a young player like that to be able to look at Trey Flowers, even at this stage of his career, and say, that's how I have to go about my daily business. The things that he's doing in the meeting room, in the weight room, in the cafeteria, what is he eating? Those are the things that I should be picking up on, to the point, Tom, where maybe 3 years from now, Keon White saying, you know, I only got a month with Trey Flowers. He didn't end up making the active roster back in 2023, but I learned so much from that guy in 3 or 4 weeks that he's helped me become the player I am today. That, to me, might be the most valuable part of this edition with Trey Flowers.
Again, leadership, and your point is well taken, especially with guys like Devin McCourty out. You do have to have a continuum between the Patriots of last decade and the one coming up in terms of leadership and how you do your business. Meanwhile, Phil looks absolutely electric up above the practice fields too, doesn't he? Last year, in the Patriots' first preseason game, Bailey Zappi saw 77% of the snaps. Brian Hoyer took the other 23. Mac just sat and watched for the entirety of the game. Phil, looking like it's going to trend similarly this year, but there might be a wrinkle to the quarterback room.
Oh, I think we're gonna get a little dash of pizzazz, a little dash of excitement at that quarterback position on Thursday night, Tom. You ready for a little quarterback run game? You ready for a little quarterback draw, a little quarterback power, a little zone read action with Malik Cunningham, undrafted rookie out of Louisville? Because I think you should be, and I think you should be excited about it. This is going to make Thursday night fun. I'm predicting by Friday morning, Malik Cunningham is the buzz of New England, because this is a Bill Belichick player through and through. He's here working primarily as a receiver until, Tom, these last couple days out at practice, he's gotten a number of reps in 11-on-11 drills as the quarterback, and there is clearly a package of plays that are Cunningham specific. You're not going to see Mac Jones running a whole lot of zone read keepers, I don't think, in 2023, but that's the playmaking element that Cunningham can bring to that position. I think we could end up seeing him quite a bit on Thursday night. At least I'm hoping, because I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to make you have to watch the entire fourth quarter with earnest and very locked in eyes and insight, so we can hit the Patriots postgame show and hit with all kinds of observations. Meanwhile, we got From the Stands, because I sent the poll out to you kids today. Question was simple. What news from Patriots training camp has put the most pep in your step? Offensive competency up there at 70%, followed by Gonzalez's strong start. Hard to handle pass rush, and then Matthew Judon's new deal. You guys also banged in with some comments. First up was our guy Jake. A glimmer of hope we might have something in Poppin' Booty. Next up, Pats fan Kev. Got to be Billy O and the offensive competency. At least now I can watch the opening drive of a game without bracing myself for the inevitable 3 and out. Next up is Joe McDonald. Gonzalez was a top prospect we hope could catch on quickly. Seems to be, which is more than we could hope for. I don't know, that might be not exactly jiving. We hoped for it, and then more than we can hope for. Phil, what has got your particular sales rising the most with wind?
Well, maybe aside from those rookie receivers, which I mentioned off the top, I would go the offensive competency route as well, but I'd be even more specific. Tom, the breadth of offense that we've seen out here on the practice fields, if you're a football nerd, that's going to get you going. That's going to give you some goosebumps as you're sitting on that grass hill overlooking this thing 2 hours a day for the last couple of weeks, because it looks like, Tom, it looks like they are laying the foundation to be truly a game plan offense, which is what we know Bill Belichick always wants to be. But between the multiple tight end sets and the empty formations going spread with 3 receivers or 4 receivers, Pop Douglas is in, maybe you have Gesicki and Hunter Henry on the field at the same time, the run game stuff, which has been variable as well day to day, they're going to be able to pull from a lot of different buckets depending on their opponent week to week. Again, that's what the head coach wants.
That's what you're looking for as a fan, too. You want to consume an offense that is a little bit intricate and difficult to deal with. All right, Phil, see you in about 15 minutes on Early Edition. Meanwhile, are the Patriots building their core through the last 3 drafts? I think they might be. Girl Potential, brought to you by Dr. Matthew Lepresti. Look younger, feel younger. Get your hair back with Leonard Hair Transplant Associates. Check this out. Here's some of the notable draft picks since 2020. Look at all these contributors that the Patriots have brought into their system. Now, these guys might not be superstars. They might not even be Pro Bowlers, but they are consistent players around whom you can build. Which brings me, ladies and gentlemen, to my slant. Watch out! And think about this. Earlier this summer, I spoke to Matthew Slater about the identity of this team. He said, look, we had a seismic change 4 seasons ago, and we've been trying to figure out who we are ever since. What's the identity of this team? I don't know, but we're hoping to find out, and we hope it's similar to what it's been. So when I see a signing like Trey Flowers, or when I see a guy like Lawrence Guy, despite having maybe a little contractual strife, sticking around, showing up on the field on a day-in, day-out basis, or I hear someone like Mac Jones really working in the offseason to change his leadership skills, I look at this group being fostered forward by the guys who are here and starting to create that identity. Look, it's 2023. We're basically mid-decade. We're getting further and further away from a time when the Patriots were dominant. They were 2-4 down the stretch in 2019. It's been a while since the Patriots walked out on a field in December and had their way. If they're going to get back to being that, they need some of these young players to start to understand it. Fortunately for them, the talent is starting to seep into the organization. And I do think with this draft this year, you're going to see a number of players start to elevate. That identity that Matthew Slater talked about, I can smell it. I can smell it. All right. We got another poll coming up from you guys from the stands. This one was okay. It was still a negative. What news emanating from Patriots training camp has made you the most uncomfortable? Offensive line disarray, 68% there. Tyquan Thornton, no impact at all. 22. Trent Brown, just watching, thanks, 7.7. And then we had other with just a 2.2. Lewis, continuously one of the most negative guys on any of my social media feeds, said nothing really, Tom. They're an 8-9 middling franchise right now. No elite quarterback, average talent. Been that way after 2019. Newton was a mistake that ruined everything. Then we have Javarison, Lamar saying all concerning, but the offensive line definitely needs to be better for the offense to click. I echo that as well. Ed, they're all very concerning. Seems like the Patriots are more interested in profit than wins. Why didn't they go out and get players to make the team better? Linemen, receivers, running backs available. Why not sign them? All it takes is money, and I am not going to dispute that. I think I have a tendency to be as optimistic as really anybody in the media during training camp. I am a glass half full guy. But when you look at this group here along the offensive line, there's not a lot of depth, And there's some question marks, too. Both tackle positions to a degree on when coming back from an injury. David Andrews is a little bit older. So there are question marks, and that's a concern because you do not want to be held hostage by the offensive line because that will stop you and Bill O'Brien and Mac Jones from having a really nice fall. Meanwhile, speaking of fall, I guess we can do risers first. Well, risers and fallers. Here's some of them right now. The kicker, Chad Ryland. Look at that baby-faced assassin. He has been drilling kicks, and he's looking to unseat Nick Folk. Of course, the Patriots used a draft pick on Ryland, and he has shown a whole lot of leg. Got a whole lot of leg. Next up, this is a layup. Everybody loves DeMario Pop Douglas. He absolutely vaporized, once again, Miles Bryant in a one-on-one drill. It's not fair to have complete empty field one-on-one drills. You're always going to get torched as a defensive back eventually. But we're not just talking about separation. It was like there was some kind of force field that shot Miles Bryant away from DeMario Douglas. When you see this kid Thursday night on television, or perhaps a streaming service, you're going to like it. Next up, Christian Barmore continues to be a man-child. He is absolutely unblockable, although I will allow for some breaking news. David Andrews had a great rep against Barmore today in the one-on-ones, but otherwise, fully and completely unblockable. Let's hope that it stays that way. Next up, we got fallers. If you got risers, you got to have fallers, folks, and it's going to be Jack Jones. Not because of his performance on the field, but because his exit from the field last week. Just head scratching, and for a player like this with as much talent as he has and who is so highly spoken of by veteran players in terms of being a decent guy who just needs to focus, hopefully he gets that. More fallers, Zaptastic. It's Bailey Zappi, and it's not because he's been a disaster. He just hasn't had the kind of protection that you would like to see for him to perform at a high level. Takes a lot of sacks, and they did a lot of red zone work early in camp, and that puts the diminutive Bailey Zappi at a little bit of a disadvantage. Finally, it's our guy Tyquan Thornton, who at this time last year was absolutely scintillating. At this point this year, absolutely absent. He's not doing anything on a regular basis. So hopefully, the guy with the skinniest wrists in the draft last year, who can also run like a 4.0 40, gets on the field, makes some plays, and gets his confidence back. All right, coming up, I have irrelevant questions with the great Kendrick Bourne. I don't know how I never did this with him before because he's tailor-made for irrelevant questions, but I think you're going to like it. Hey, you kids. Coming up next, I need you to tune in for our Bella Early Edition with Trenny, okay? Because Trenny Casey's going to take a deep dive into the biggest sports stories of the day. Meanwhile, here's our friend Mike Giardi and Kendrick Bourne exchanging a war of goofy words this past week. Enjoy.
What have you seen at the receiver position?
Stink, stank, and stunk. Like, it's crazy. And again, we beat this horse, and I've said they're bottom third in terms of wide receiver talent, and it might be lower than that. The two best receivers have been Juju, who's making his living on crossing patterns, and Pop Douglas.
A lot of confidence, man. We got a lot of doubters, so, got a lot to prove. And I'm excited, man. It's good to be the underdog.
Tyquan to the mix. He obviously brings a unique element with that speed.
Stink, stunk, and stank.
All right.
You dish it out, you got to be able to take it. And Mike Giardi can take it. I think that was a great exchange. You know why? Because they do have something to prove. And Kendrick Bourne acknowledged that. Now, I wouldn't have gone as far as Giardi did with Stink, Stank, Stunk the previous Monday because they're really just getting started. Hold your fire on Stink, Stank, Stunk. But I love that exchange. You know what? We have a communal relationship with these guys, and I appreciate their consuming us and not getting all uptight if we just say what we see. Better him than me, though. Irrelevant questions with the great Kendrick Bourne right now. Bam! Ladies and gentlemen, it is Irrelevant Questions coming back at you again, and I'm stunned that I've never had the great Kendrick Bourne because there's no better quarry to secure than him for something like this. How's my guy?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Let's go.
Let's get after it. First question. What was the first tattoo that you got? How old were you? And where is it?
I got a tribal right here, Samoan tribal. I got it in college. I was 18.
And we just celebrated a birthday, did we not?
Yeah. 28. Feeling good.
Is your middle name L?
Yeah, L. Lafayette. It's a Samoan name.
Really? Yeah. There is a great Samoan brotherhood in the NFL, isn't there?
There is. Me and Juju, we're the same nationality, Samoan and black.
I had no idea. Do you have any clothing superstitions to wear on the field? Is it like an old pair of shoulder pads, an undershirt that you got to wear? Any of that foolishness?
Yeah, I'm kind of in between socks, ankle socks, no shows. I don't really like crew socks. See, no shows are good.
Got them, yeah.
But I don't really like them going too high. Let my legs breathe.
Yeah. Most questionable purchase that you've made since being in the NFL?
Wow. I bought a Bentley. I don't think I really needed it, but.
What color?
Black. Black on black.
Still have it?
Yeah, I still got it.
If you had to have your name abbreviated to one thing or another, would you rather have it be Drick or Kenny?
Definitely Drick. I don't think I've ever heard Drick.
We'll go with Drick.
I'm changing my name. Take the I, the CK off, and put a P at the end of it. Ken Drip.
Oh, that's going to catch on. This is something I like to do. It's a portion of the program. It's called, Hey, what's your number? And it's related to the number that you wear. Is this the one that you would prefer to have? Does it have any meaning to you?
Yeah. I used to wear number 11 in college, but I got this number. I changed. Jimmy Garoppolo was my quarterback. I had number 10, and then I switched to number 84. So now it's just, this is my number. And I was born 8/4/95.
All right, last question. True or false? Mount Everest could fit inside the Mariana Trench.
True.
Correct.
That was a wild guess.
Mariana Trench
I
is.
didn't even know what you were talking about.
It's 1.2 miles deeper, the Mariana Trench is, than Mount Everest is high.
Wow. I want to climb Mount Everest. Climb every day, guys. Keep climbing.
Keep climbing. I think that was a nice message at the end. Now, the Mariana Trench is, of course, near the Philippines in the Western Pacific. It's the deepest part of the ocean. It's called Challenger Deep, I think, is something like that. I don't know, but I'm fascinated by foolishness like that. Meanwhile, Kendrick Bourne, 2 years ago, he had 55 catches on 70 targets, 800 yards even. To me, he's going to be the kind of player who breaks out this year. Stink, stank, stunk no more. He's going to have a hell of a year. Meanwhile, stay tuned for Trenny and early edition coming up. Make sure you check your Next Pats podcast with Phil. He speaks to Malik Cunningham's offensive coordinator at Louisville, and Patriots Talk. Just, we just content.